Welcome to 60 Skills. Today we're going to talk about a secret of internal power, the rites of the Eucharist. Okay, now some of you out there may say, well, listen, 60 Skills, I charge food and drink with esoteric energy all the time. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, I get a little bit out of it, but seriously, not that much. Well, that's because you're doing it wrong. Most people, when they do this, they either do it on the fly or they do it after they practice. Sometimes with a bottle of water, maybe with a bag of crisps, what have you. But ultimately, this is kind of missing the point. The reason why you charge your food and drink with esoteric energy is to bypass the defensive mechanisms of your body energetically. So let me explain. Anybody who's ever tried to use energetic healing when they're sick on themselves has found, well, it doesn't work very well. The reason for this is your own energy can't defeat the protective mechanisms of your own body energetically very efficiently. So you need a way around this. Okay, in Franz Barden's first book, Initiation into Hermetics, they primarily give you two methods for doing this. One, what is sometimes referred to as the rites of the Eucharist, or again, charging food or drink and then eating or drinking it. Fair enough. Two is what they call mamial magic, where you basically cut off small pieces of yourself, your nails, your hair, maybe a little bit of blood. You get the idea. Don't get too crazy here. And then you seal it into a wax container where you can then use externally projected energy to treat those body parts, and it translates over into your physical body. Okay. Here, what we need to really focus on is if you're going to change something in the body, which is a physical thing, you're going to need a physical mechanism to do this with. Now, to efficiently do this requires you to be able to do a few other things first. Number one, you have to be able to determine what energy you're working with. See, this is a little tricky. Most schools of Qigong, most schools of magic may teach you how to work with one or two energies, either a generic healing energy or something like Xingyi or 5-element fist might give you 5 different energies, one for each fist. A lot of Qigong schools don't even bother. They just teach you how to use Qi, which is generally a combination of vital force and astral energy. If you can't differentiate specifically what you want to work on, this doesn't work very well. Well, 60 skills. I just want more vital energy. I just want to be high on life. Fair enough. If you project a lot of vital energy or Qi into your food and then eat it, if you're successful at it, it's basically going to generate a bunch of manic and or hypersexual behavior that isn't typically very useful. So you need to be able to specify what you're doing. Barden's third book, Key to the True Kabbalah, gives you a very good system for doing this. It tells you what all the different energies do and gives you a mechanism for generating them. This is not the only system out there for doing this, but it's probably the best known. Okay, so once you have the ability to specify what energy you want to work with, now how do I employ that using food or drink to help my energetic development? Okay, 1. This is something you do before you practice. It's not an afterthought that you do after you practice. It's something you do before you practice. So the easiest way to do this is to get up in the morning, take your bag of holy croutons or wafers or whatever it is you're wanting to charge, put it in your lap, decide upon the energy that you're going to work with. Then charge your bag of holy croutons for a good 10 or 15 minutes. Me personally, I like to use one string of beads. Takes me about 15 minutes on a mala. And here's the other catch. You need to be able to vibrate that energy into your bag of holy croutons. If you're not doing that, it doesn't work nearly as well. So you do that. Then 10 to 15 minutes, 30 minutes on the outside. Then you get up, you take your holy wafer or whatever it is, and you eat one. Then you wait about 10 to 15 minutes. It takes about that long for the energy to hit. Then you do your other energetic practices. So again, the rites of the Eucharist aren't something you do after your primary practice. It's something you do before your primary practice. Whether this is out of body, standing, work with weights, partner exercises, work with movement, doesn't matter. That's the strongest way to engage the rites of the Eucharist. Now, there are a couple other things you need to keep in mind. One, this really only works for one energy at a time. Even Barden himself says periodically throughout his books, you don't really want to work with more than one or two letter combinations at a time. Working with these things takes something out of us. What that is not entirely clear, but what is clear is there isn't a whole lot of it. So this is a great developmental tool for restructuring the body, but it's very limited in that you can really only work with one thing at a time. Two, this is such a potent way of overcoming various safeguards within the body. You have to be very careful with it because it's easy to overload yourself. So typically what I do is I'll charge my bag of holy croutons up, eat one, practice with a given force, and then see how it makes me feel for the next day or two. Then, if within a day or two that was okay, then I'll do it 2 days in a row. Wait, then 3 days, so on and so on and so on. Because unfortunately, by bypassing these safety mechanisms in your body, counterbalancing does not work very well as a way of dealing with this problem. So if you do get overloaded, you need to be very careful. Again, as I've talked about before, things like air element can essentially result in an asthma attack if done to excess, so on and so forth. So you need to be careful with this. 3, only temperature neutral, shelf stable substances work well, or cold items. Warm items don't capture energy well and tend to bleed energy off. This is probably more a result of physics than anything else. So whatever your item is that you want to charge, you're going to want to use something that you can store for long periods of time. Again, your bag of holy croutons works well. Alchemically, this is the reason why a lot of alchemical compounds are alcohol-based. They can simply hold a charge much more efficiently, and it lasts a long time. Next, charging effects build over time. I have spent a few days or a week or two charging up things in the past, used them a couple times, put them on the shelf, come back to them quite a bit of time later, and guess what? They're every bit as potent as they were beforehand. So you need to be careful with that as well. So this is a little bit of a speech on the rites of the Eucharist as a power or ability building function. If you'd like to learn more about this, such as how to identify the energies specifically and what they do, go to Perseus Arcane Academy or my website, 60skills.com, and check out either the Master course or the Kabbalah course, both of which can teach you how to do these things. Otherwise, as per usual, train hard and be well.